Hi, my name is Nayla and I'm a yarn addict. Welcome, this is Knits by Nayla. My name is Nayla and I'm a knitter and crocheter from northern New Jersey. I started knitting when I was about 10 or 12 in an aftercare program in my middle school. And I've knit throughout the years, but I learned how to crochet in, I believe, 2021, and that is when I started getting into garment making. And from there, I gained the courage to actually start knitting garments, because prior to that, I had only done accessories, blankets, things like that. But with the crochet skills that I learned through YouTube, I gained a little bit more confidence in trying to actually construct a garment. I definitely love the YouTube knitting community and the crochet community. There's so many people that I follow, starting with It's Erin B, the Kopi Cali dolls, the Kopi dolls, excuse me, with Kalila, Kahila, and Malika. Through them, I found Alexandra's Garn. I watch Penrose Knits, Caroline Knits, Marlene Knits, Feelin' Froggy Knits, all of the knits. I'm into it. And in addition to loving the craft of knitting and crochet, I also purely love yarn. I did not ever really intend to start a knitting podcast or a YouTube channel, but I recently did two things that were exciting to me, at least, in the knitting world. I applied for and was accepted to my first test knits, and I also went on my very first yarn crawl, otherwise known as the New Jersey Wool Walk, which took place April 26th to the 30th. So I figured, why not do a video about both of those things, because I was really excited, to experience both of them, and I kind of got tired of telling my family and friends who are not knitters and don't really even know what it means to test knit, and I figured I'd share that excitement with the world, or at least my little corner of the internet with the knitting community. And actually, the biggest push to go ahead and film and start my channel was my finished logo, which I have to give a huge shout out to one of my dearest friends, my best friends since high school, Jamie of Dear Jamie Designs. I actually asked her maybe a couple of months ago to design a logo for me that I could include with any of the pieces that I was making that I was gonna gift or possibly sell to someone. And I actually had a few months ago box braids, and they were like a mint green color, and Jamie had a great idea to kind of incorporate my braided bun in that fun color into a Knits by Nayla logo, and it turned out so great. I'm so grateful to her for designing that for me, and I figured, I can add that to my Instagram, Knits by Nayla. I can add it to this YouTube channel, as well as make like handmade labels or tags to attach to anything that I create, both for myself and for others. So again, biggest shout out to Jamie of Dear Jamie Designs. I will link both her Instagram and her Etsy page. She is just one of the most creative people that I know, and so talented, from artwork that she recreates or does on her own for her walls. She sells lots of different things on her Etsy shop, like Taylor Swift Christmas ornaments. She's done silhouette gift tags and things like that before. She also does some jewelry, clay jewelry and things like that. And I even inspired her, I would say, a little bit to make stitch markers for the knitting community. She actually made for me for my birthday a tote bag that says Knit Happens. on it with a nice little yarn ball. And she gave me a crochet kit that had my name, a personalized crochet kit. And she's beyond talented. She's one of my favorite artists ever. So I'm so grateful that she did that logo for me. And like I said, all of her things, so you can check her out, will be linked below. So I guess in traditional format, we would start with what we're wearing, and that leads me into my very first test knit, which is the Tolsta tee by the Creabea. That pattern was just released on May 12th, and if you have not already purchased it, I very highly recommend that you do so. It is the perfect summer tee, spring tee, year-round tee. And it's such a quick knit, and as Creabea Rebecca Clow has said herself, it's kind of a low risk, high reward pattern in the sense that it does not require a lot of yarn and it does not require a lot of your time. So with that low risk, essentially you are able to really take time to let your creative juices flow. She did hold her test knit with an Instagram chat group, and that was so fun for me, getting to speak with other knitters, seeing their ideas, how they were so creative. Rebecca did include in the original pattern some options for customizing the top or adding different details. I know she did a version that had daisies on it, a version that had eyelets, a version that had stripes, and so she included that information, and then also let the testers just run free with their creativity. We had people that added a waist tie. I did one with a split hem. So yes, there were waist ties, split hems, different versions of eyelets, marling of colors, different striping, picot edges, I-cord edges, folded hem, stockinette folded hem. So many versions, so creative. You really can do anything that you want with the pattern, and it'll be a great tee. I love my version. My version, actually, I used a very inexpensive yarn, the Loops and Thread Capri Echo Cotton that I purchased from Michaels, which is like $1.99 USD, not on sale. They often have sales, so I might have paid, I think I used about 6 skeins and in the color cream, and I paid about $12, maybe less for that. However, 5 out of my 6 skeins were the same dye lot, and the 6th skein, which I wasn't aware of at the time, was not the same dye lot, and I actually got this accidental striping effect within my tee. But you know, most of the testers did kind of reassure me that it looks intentional, and I actually love the way it turned out. I did consider doing a tie-dye after I completed it, but I liked it so much as is that I left it, and I've literally worn this maybe twice a week since I finished it. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I've worn it at least twice a week, every week since. I also did a second version of the Tolsta tee using the same brand of yarn, but in the color Granite Splash. And I knit that as a birthday gift for my mom. Her birthday was April 23rd. I knit mine. I tested the size 7, which is, I believe, a 2X. I'm typically a 2X. My bust is about, ranging, depending on the bra, 40 to 42 centimeters, 40 to 42 inches. On my mom, she's usually about a large or extra large. I knit her the size 4, which I can also fit into her. So I knit the size 4 for my mom and the size 7 for me. I can fit into the size 4. However, it's a very different fit. This one I have maybe, I might have about 5 to 6 inches of positive ease on the size 7 for me, but on the size 4, when I wear that, it's like 0 to negative ease. And I did split hem on that. That was my modification to the pattern on that. I just, when I was ready to do the ribbing, I counted all of my stitches, and then halfway through I started to do I just did the ribbing halfway through and left the other stitches on the needle on hold. And yeah, on my mom, I think it has less positive ease than this one does on me. When she's wearing it, I would say maybe it's only about 2 to 3 inches of positive ease on her, but I will insert whatever pictures that I do have of the both of us wearing it. And so those are my first 2 finished objects, which leads me into my last, I actually have 2 finished objects. So one of them is this knitting badge neckerchief by Niklas Knits. I actually saw Feeling Froggy Knits, Maya from Feeling Froggy Knits on YouTube and Instagram make this pattern. I believe she used Super Glow fibers. Is it Space Case, I believe is the colorway, which she definitely knit-fluenced me to purchase that yarn, just as she knit-fluenced me to knit this knitting bag neckerchief. And I actually used here, I had a woolly knit cone that I got for my Tolsta test, and it's 100% cotton from Woolly Knit, fingering weight. I originally was intending to use that cone for my Tolsta tee, but I wasn't really, I hadn't used fingering yarn before. I haven't held anything double before, and I wanted to kind of use like more inexpensive yarn first, which is why I chose this one. And then I ended up meeting perfect gauge on the Capri Echo Cotton. And so since I had some of that already in my stash, I just used that. And I believe the woolly knit cones arrived after I originally started my gauge swatch and started with the test knit for the Tolsta tee. But since I had it on hand, again, I wanted to make my mom a birthday gift. And this knitting bag neckerchief has really great drop stitch detail. It was a super quick project. I think I might have done it within a few days. I know I was on a deadline because I was trying to get it out relatively within a few days of her birthday. But yeah, it was a super quick knit. It blocked out really nicely. You can wear it as I had here. I've also seen Maya kind of as well as Niklas Knits, kind of do like a roll up and then tie it this way. I think the more aggressively you block it out, the longer your little tassels will be for the tie. And I believe I would have to check my project notes, but I might have done 6 or 7 of the repeats. I guess I could just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did 6 repeats total. You can see by where the drop stitches are. I believe in the pattern, which can be totally customizable to whatever yarn you have on hand, whatever needle size you want to work with. Niklas Knits gives a couple of different options. And so with that, you can customize it to however you want and keep going. Do as many repeats as you feel like, you know, you need to have the size that you want. It probably could even be a shawl if you just went on forever and ever and ever. But that is my 3rd finished object. And my last finished object is actually my 2nd ever test knit. So I applied to the Jessie May test knit. She had 2 applications going out at once, first for the totally tank top and then for the mini mock neck top. And I applied for both for size 6, which is a 2X. and I was accepted for both. And the first one was done, the yarn that she recommended was Ritual Dye's Undine. She did her sample in the color Jewelweed. I also did mine in the color Jewelweed because that was what was in stock at the time. Some of the other colorways, which I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back for, were on pre-order, and I believe are still on pre-order. This Totally tank top came out, she finally released the pattern, I believe on May 10th. And it's just a cute little cropped tank top. I believe she recommended in the pattern that you knit it to, I think it was 7 inches, which I know because I misread centimeters as inches. It said 18 centimeters, and I, during my test knit, was thinking 18 inches. And so I kept knitting and knitting and knitting, and I was like, this is getting a little long. And then I remembered from my underarm to, you know, my waist, typically on a regular not cropped sweater, that's like 20 inches. And I was like, wait a second, this can't be, a crop tank top cannot be 18 inches. So double check your patterns, make sure you read everything. But yes, it's a cropped tank top with is it 2x2? Yes, 2x2 ribbing on the hem and on the armholes. And then the neckline is done in a rolled stockinette, which everybody knows stockinette rolls in general. And so you just do a regular knit bind off, and it gives kind of a rolled effect to the collar. And I actually originally, when I was doing the armbands, I had done the bind off as a stretchy bind off, which is like knit 1 and then knit 2 and then knit the 2 through the back loop, I believe. Knit the same 2 off the right needle through the back loop or something like that, and it makes kind of a stretchy bind off as opposed to regular bind off. But it had given kind of like a wrinkled, it was ruffling the armband, it wasn't laying flat. And so after I blocked it, I took that out and I redid it with just the regular bind off, which is just the knit 1, cast it off, and that looks way better because it kind of, she basically in the pattern says it was an additional design feature. It kind of matches, I think you can see it better on the front side. It kind of matches where you pick up the stitches as well. So that fit and looks much better than the stretchy bind off or any other kind of bind off. But yeah, this has a great fit. I've worn this, I think already 2 or 3 times since I finished it last week. And I definitely plan to make more. I actually finished it right before I had a trip to Houston last week, and while I was in Houston, I wore it. And I also went to a local yarn store while I was in Houston, wore it to the yarn store. Immediately, the staff recognized the pattern, and then they actually helped me pick out new yarn because I'm gonna make another one for both myself and my older sister, who her birthday is in May. But yeah, this is the Totally tank top. It's the racer back style, 2x2 rib on the arms and the waist. And you can customize the length to whatever you want. So mine hits just after my belly button on me, and I ended up doing, I believe 11 inches total from the underarm. But that is my last finished object. I still have to start and finish the mini mock neck tank, and I actually, I think I already put it in my project bag, but for that one I am gonna use the Wandering Flock Baby Paca in electric purple, and I've already caked that up, put it in my project bag with the pattern, and it's ready for me to go at any minute. But first I have to finish my current whip, which is this baby blanket. Woo! So this, I believe it's the Lacy baby blanket from Yarnspirations, I believe. It was a free pattern. I found it on Ravelry, and then I believe I went to the Yarnspirations page. I'll put the link down below. And I'm just doing this in this is Bernat Softee Baby in pale blue. It's 100% acrylic. That is the label. And so far, I believe I'm on my 3rd ball of this yarn, which is 362 yards, 140 grams. I'm hoping to have this finished soon because it actually is my very first commission piece. My boss actually in my day job, her younger brother is having his first child, and the baby shower is coming up, and so she thought it would be nice to do a hand knit blanket, and so she asked me. In addition to this being my first commission, it actually is the first time I've ever done any kind of lace work. This lace work I feel like is very beginner, but it is a nice lace pattern. It kind of looks like leaves to me. And it just involves yarning over SSK, K2 together, and knits and purls. So everything on the right side is knit stitches, and that's when you're doing the yarning over the SSK, K2 together. And on the back side, you just are purling. And then there's also there's also a garter stitch edge on the bottom and on the sides of the blanket. I'm using my Chiaogu 4.5 millimeter needles, and I believe I have it just on 2 14-inch cables. But yeah, it's relatively quick. My boss wanted something that was kind of like drapey and light. I believe I am gonna make this longer than the pattern calls for. My boss measured a blanket that she already has for one of her children, and it's 50 inches long, 45 inches wide. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I believe mine is only 35 or 40 inches wide, but I think that when I block it, it'll be, you know, it's wide enough. And then I'm just gonna keep knitting until it's around 45 to 50 inches long. And right now I have 35 inches, so hoping to finish this up this week. So my phone died, but I'm back. And also the light is shifting, but we carry on. I just wanted to show also some of my leftovers from my test knits. So this is the Loops and Threads Capri Echo Cotton. There we go. Loops and Threads Capri Echo Cotton. This is the Granite Splash colorway that I use for my mom's Tolsta, and I like the Capri Echo Cotton because it actually does feel soft. I originally last summer I bought a lot of the Lily Sugar and Cream cotton for my cotton crochet pieces, including this like lime green 2-piece crochet set that I use. And then when I went back for more sugar and cream, I actually saw this in Michael's, this brand, and when I touched it, it felt way softer than the Lily Sugar and Cream. And I think like with all cotton yarns, the longer you use it, you do kind of get that like, you know, kind of like the feeling of the strand when you're knitting and you're pulling your yarn. You kind of It gets a little bit rough, but this I would say so far is the least rough cotton that I've used, and it is 85% recycled cotton and 15% polyester. One thing with this colorway compared to just my cream, this colorway, I guess because of the dye, but you can almost feel like you can almost feel the dye as if there's like an additional film on top of the strand of yarn, but nothing ever transferred to my hands when I was working with it. Nothing transferred in the water when I blocked it or anything like that. And like I said, it's super wearable. I wore this in 90-degree weather. I wore this to the office with jeans, with a skirt, with wide leg pants. Yeah, I love this. Will always buy more. There's actually one YouTuber, Ribsy, I think her name is. She crochets and she knits, and I think she started her channel not too long ago, and I saw she bought some of this, and we've been in the comments back and forth about how much we love it, because just like I did, you know, as soon as she bought one, she like immediately went back and bought more. I've also used this to make the willow bag by, it's either Nastia Crochet or Crochet Treat, I believe Nastia Crochet, and I did that in a green, and I love that bag. So yes, this will always be a staple for me if I want, you know, a quick and relatively inexpensive project. And then the yarn I use for my these are just my scraps. This is what I have left from my Totally Tank Top test. This, like I said before, is the Ritual Dyes Undine in the color Jewelweed, and it's a fingering weight. And I will say with this, you know, it's I don't know if I would say soft, but it's not rough to the touch. But with the, while knitting, I definitely could, and even when I was winding this up, when I was like holding one end while it was going through the winder, and you could start to feel it kind of make a ridge in your finger. So every once in a while when I was working with this, I would have to pause and take breaks because I would feel like a rough patch or an abrasion start on my finger. Nothing like bad, I wasn't injured, no bleeding or anything like that, but it just was rough working on it for long periods of time in a row. Oh, like we said before, the Tolsta is such a low risk, high reward project, a quick, perfect summer knit that, and there was so much creativity in the tester group that, you know, everyone in the tester group, you know, had like 5 versions already planned. I think Rebecca herself made like 4 or 5 versions, including her one from her sample last year before she wrote the pattern out. One of the testers, Coco Amore Knits, I believe, or yeah, I think Coco Amore Knits or Coco Knits, I'll leave her in the description as well. But she made, I mean, that woman is a knitting machine. She made, I believe, 4 Tolstas. Her first version was the one that was a tie waist, and funnily enough, when she showed in the tester group her sample, the start of her piece, everyone was obsessed with the colorway, including myself and Rebecca, and immediately we went to the website to purchase. So this is Rico Designs Creative Lazy Hazy Summer Cotton, and these colors are just so beautiful. You should see her test. If I can put a picture, I will. But this is a DK weight, 50 grams, 145 meters, 49% cotton, 46% acrylic, 5% polyester, made in Belgium. This colorway, I forget the name. This is color number 12, but she had like, she used this purple one, I believe. It's some kind of lavender purple. But I also got a blue one back here. It's in the plastic, so I'm not gonna show you, but so light, so soft. Let me see, how does it's Aaron B do the strands? So beautiful. And I can't wait to do another Tolsta with this, but it's gonna be a little while because I have some other things planned. And I should mention with my Lacy baby blanket whip, you know, knitters always make mistakes. I am not one that really likes to frog. I would rather count something 4 times than have to frog something. But with learning this new to me lace, I think I was maybe 40 rows into the pattern and something was just off, like the repeat wasn't looking right. It's like as if the if you see here, there's like columns, but it's as if, like, you know, maybe 30 rows into it, the columns had started to shift. They were out of line. And so I ended up having to like frog back like 10 or 15 rows and try and pick I stupidly did not put in a lifeline, and I had to pick those stitches back up and try to move forward. I was able to do it, but another tale of woe with this pattern. In my project bag, I had left a nice little clementine, mandarin, whatever you want to call it. I had mistakenly left an orange in my bag, maybe for about a week, and somehow it completely disintegrated, molded, and like was permanently stuck to the blanket. And so the maybe 60 rows that I had on my project, even after frogging back 10 rows, I had to throw the whole thing out and start over. But the good thing is that just meant more time, you know, getting comfortable with the pattern. And I definitely was more careful about, you know, double checking my stitches after each row, making sure that I'm like, you know, so it's a 4-row repeat. The first row is on the right side. Those are knit stitches, and it ends in, let's say it ends in a K1 yarn over K2. Second row is a purl row, purl all the way across. Third row is another knit row, but the last 4 stitches are K2 yarn over K2. And so whenever I get to that last row on one of my knit rows, I'm always double checking, okay, am I on my K1 yarn over K2, or am I on my K2 yarn over K2? And so with doing that, I've been able to make lots more uninterrupted progress. And I think that, you know, I'll be able to wrap this up pretty soon. So, I mentioned at the start that I wanted to do this video because of the exciting things, yarn related, knitting related, that were going on. The first 2 were the test knits that I was a part of, the Tolsta tee for Crea Bear, Rebecca Clow, the Totally tank top for Jessie May, and the mini mock neck tank also for Jessie May. The 4th exciting thing was the New Jersey Wool Walk, which is a yarn crawl in New Jersey, encompassing 22 stores across New Jersey, and that took place April 26th through the 30th, including Friday, April 28th, which was Local Yarn Store Day. I actually had to go out of town. I think we left Thursday. My aunt graduated from University of Michigan, and so I only had 2 days to participate in the yarn crawl, the Wednesday the 26th and Thursday before our flight, the 27th. And so out of the 22 stores, I was able to make it to 11 of them. So 50-50, I'll take it. And so with the New Jersey Yarn Crawl, like I said, it's 22 stores participating, and you purchase a New Jersey Wool Walk passport book from one of the stores, whichever store you prefer. You also had the option to purchase this nice project bag or notions bag from all of the stores carried them. But the passport, which had the names of each of the stores that were going, and when you visit the store, they would stamp your passport indicating you had visited the store. The passport was available for $16, and I believe the project bag, I think it was about $15. And then of course they had like a bundle deal. If you purchase both at the same time, it was a set price. I made my first stop in the Neckerchief store in Waldwick, New Jersey. And so I purchased my passport and my little notions bag, both from Nancy at Neckerchief. I've actually been to that store, I believe, twice before. Once was last summer in June, and then I went some other time, I'm not sure. But either way, I was very happy to participate in my first yarn crawl. As I said, I visited 11 out of 22 stores. Let me see, I have my list here. I started at Neckerchief. Then I went to, I believe, I went to Yarn Diva and More, which is in Hillsdale, New Jersey. Then I went to Biscotti Yarns Knitting Store, which is in Northvale, New Jersey. I also went to Knit Knot and Natter in Pompton Plains, Blue Pearl in Madison, New Jersey. Wool and Grace in Summit, New Jersey. Those I all hit up on Wednesday, my first day. And then on my second day, I went back to Blue Pearl, and you'll see why later. I wanted to go back to Wool and Grace, but what I was looking for was out of stock, so I just placed a phone order instead. So on the second day, Blue Pearl, I went to Do You Knit, EWE, in Westfield, New Jersey. Then I went to Beyond Yarn in, actually I went Do You Knit Yarndezvous, which is in Teaneck. Beyond Yarn in Union, New Jersey. Hi, Teresa. And the local yarn store in South Orange. And then I finished it off at one of my favorites, Yarnia in Montclair, which Montclair is about 10-15 minutes from where I live. So I've been to Yarnia once before. I'm not sure how many times, but I've also participated in a Yarnia knit night. But I really did enjoy the Wool Walk experience. I can't wait to go again. I was a little sad because on the 28th, that Friday, since it was local yarn store day, the Wandering Flock, which I have some of her yarn here, Geraldine from the Wandering Flock, look at this pretty skein. This is the color Moonstone in the, which base is this? I think this is either Baby Paca or, well, no, this says 100% Superwash Extra Fine Merino. So this is her fingering merino. I did not get this on the yarn crawl, but it did arrive maybe a day or two before. I had seen this or a color like this on a vlog of, I believe, Vogue Knit Live from Arrow Knits and Pearls, and I like screenshot it and was like, I need this yarn. So when Geraldine had a stock update, I purchased both the baby Paca that I needed for my Jessie Maed test knit and this skein. But for local yarn store day, she did a 3-store or 3-stop little yarn crawl in Brooklyn, and they ended the night at a bar for like a knit night in Brooklyn. I really wanted to go to that, but like I said, we were out of town. So I just got to experience the wool walk, but it was a great experience. And no purchase was required at any of the stores, but as I mentioned at the start, I am a bit of a yarn addict, so I made a lot of purchases. Starting at Neckerchief, as I said, they had, so for Wool Walk, most of these stores did offer lots of discounts. Neckerchief, when I walked in, she had a whole table in the middle of the store full of yarns that were 40% off. She also had bundles like the one I'm going to show you for different projects with patterns, and then everything else in the store I believe was 20% off. And so the first thing I picked up was one of these Sophie scarf bundles from Chaos Yarn. It has both the organic soft merino and the organic brushed alpaca. And this color, oh, sorry for the squeaking. Let me see. Oh, it's right on the label. This color is the charismatic color. It's a nice hot pink, and the pattern that is included with it is a Sophie scarf, which I actually already have the pattern, but I couldn't resist a little bundle. And maybe I'll gift this one to somebody, because I did actually, on one of my previous purchases or previous visits to Neckerchief, I actually purchased the exact same combos, Chaos Yarn, in Spiritual, this lavender light purple, so gorgeous, and Sincere, this nice kind of cool grayish blue. Both of these are supposed to be Sophie scarves, and I probably purchased this maybe 3 months ago. I haven't made it Sophie scarf yet, but the pattern's there waiting. But I couldn't resist. The colors were too good. It's so soft, so soft. I just need time in my project schedule to actually get them knit up. And then I also got from Neckerchief, these were 2 of the items that she had on the 40% off table. And this is Lana Grossa Cashmere 16 Fine in the color black. And it's just this really soft cashmere yarn. Let me see. And I was trying to check the gauge when I was in the store. I'm not 100% on if this is fingering or if it's like a DK. But I picked these up with intention of making berets. This color is blush number 19. The black is color 18. Blush number 19. And this one is a very nice kind of heathered, multi-grain, variegated pink. So it has kind of like a pinkish blush. There's a little bit of white in there and a little bit of like a pale lavender. Isn't that just gorgeous? But I intended, when I picked these up, I was looking to make a beret. I believe either the Best Beret by, is it James & Watts? I believe it's James & Watts. Or the beret number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, even though I don't know if I really want to use one of her patterns. And there was a couple, there's one other beret. I will have to put the designer in the description, but I believe the beret is called the Parisienne, which I thought was appropriate because my intention with the beret is to gift them to my aunt and two of her best friends. They both graduated with their masters this summer, and her and her two best friends are taking a graduation trip to Paris in July. And so a lot of, well, not a lot, but part of my wool walk finds or intentions was to find yarn to make them 3 berets. And I did previously ask my aunt like what colors they like. My aunt was saying that she would like red or yellow. Those are her favorite colors. One of her friends said they like warm tones, so red, peach, pink, blush. And then the other friend said either black or like a royal blue, electric blue. And so these were 40% off. I tried to find colors that I would like to work with. I don't really like working with black. I've only made one black crochet cardigan before and it was hard to see the stitches. But when I saw these and I saw the discount, they're originally $16 and they were 40% off. I picked these up and, you know, if I didn't find anything else later in the day, then I would use these. So yeah, I'm very excited to work with that eventually, even though it may not be soon. And then she also had on the sale table Garn Line, which is their, is it a blend? Yeah. 53% wool, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. This is 50 gram skein, and the color, it's kind of a blue color, but it doesn't have a color name. It's 6531, the number. But look at that blue. I think that would be so nice for a summer tank. And the tank that I intend to make with this is the, I believe, so there were 2 that I were thinking of. The first one is the Ingrid top by Gregoria Fibers, and I saw Knits by Mandy. She made that top I think a year ago and she just wore it recently in a video. I was obsessed with the eyelets, and I believe she's remaking it, or she recently remade it to make the armholes and such fit better. But I really was interested in that top. The other tank top that I was thinking of is called the Thea top, or the Thea tank, and I'll leave the designer below. But I just think that this yarn would be perfect for it. So I purchased 8 skeins of Garn Line to make either the Thea top or the Ingrid top. Okay, my next store was Yarn Diva and More, and that's in Yarn Diva and More, that's in Hillsdale, New Jersey. And again, I was looking around the store. They had certain discounts available, and I guess I should have taken this out before. Excuse the noise. All right, that was difficult. So at Yarn Diva and More, someone moved my stuff, but so at Yarn Diva and More, which is in Hillsdale, New Jersey, that was also a cute little shop. They had needles. I think all needles were half price. They had magazines. They had great collection of yarn, wonderful display items. I really like the carpet they have there and their logo. It's very cute. And they also had some sets of clearance yarn that was available. And so this was another item that I picked up. It's beautiful, peachy pink, kind of light color. I picked this up with the beret in mind for Paris, the warm tones. My aunt's friend even sent a little, she had like a color palette. When I asked what color, she had a whole little color palette already selected. I'll try to include that if I can. But, you know, this seemed to fit the color palette. And again, if I don't use it for that, I will find another thing to use it for. This is from Delicious Yarns. This is the Frosting Sport. It's 100 grams. It's very cute, the label. It has nutrition facts. And so, you know, the calories are zero calories from fat. Yardage is 310. Needle size US 3 to 5, gauge 23 to 26 stitches per 4 inches. This is 100% superwash merino in the color 101 Peach from Delicious Yarns in Valley Village, California. Again, this is super soft and squishy. It was in kind of a clearance pack, and I believe I paid, so it was originally $25.25 for 2 skeins, and I got it on sale for just $20. Again, 2 skeins of this should be enough for the beret, or maybe it'll be enough for a summer top if I don't use it for the beret, because I did find other items for the berets later. So I got that from Yarn Diva and More. Oh, and I forgot to mention, well, let me do this one first. But the second item I got from Yarn Diva and More is this Barocco Modern Cotton. This is color 1660. It's kind of a very light, it's a very light kind of blue green. I would say it's super minty, almost like pistachio, maybe like a very pale pastel pistachio. And I believe it's like a DK weight. And how many skeins? I think I got 4, either 3 or 4 of these skeins. And my thinking when I was shopping was that this would be another Tolsta tee. And even though it's definitely not white, but I thought it would be another light, breezy summer top, modern cotton. It's 60% Pima cotton and 40% modal rayon. And it's machine wash, lay flat to dry. Very excited for that. And what I forgot to mention is that at each of the stores, I don't know if purchase was required for this, but I ended up purchasing at every store, so I got them at every store. But they had these really cute stitch markers. A different color for each store that they handed out at the shop. Look at how cute. Little wool sheep head stitch markers. And then some of the shops gave additional gifts, I think. And the tapestry, I put it in my other notions bag already, but they gave the wool walk stitch marker. They gave additional stitch markers, a little set of like stars and circles. And then they also included a very nice little pamphlet of stretches, which I definitely need to use, and that's why it's already in my notions bag, so that I can remember to do those exercises for when you're knitting. And then Yarn Diva and More, they included this nice little package. I believe it has a pattern, neck down bulky bolero from Knitting Pure and Simple. It has, let me see, So this is the pattern that it includes. Nice. Oh, there's actually two. See what happens when you actually open the bag? This is Anne Norling Adult Basic Drop Shoulder Pullover. That actually looks very nice. Nice little pattern. That was gifted for free. They also gave some needles, circular needles, fixed circulars. This is Accessories Unlimited US 17 55-inch high quality bamboo needles. That's a very nice gift. And then, oh, this is a pen. Let me see. With their Yarn Diva logo. I need to actually add this to my on my tote bag that I carry. I have all my collectible pens. These are some nice cedar blocks, I believe, to keep with your yarn to prevent, you know, critters and creatures. They gave a little, this is nice too. When it has little sheep, I haven't even looked at this yet. A little sheep notion bag or stitch marker bag. That's actually very helpful because I have a lot of loose stitch markers. Then a keychain, Yarn Diva and more. And also, I guess this is another little project bag or notion bag. And it has a drawstring. So very nice gifts from Yarn Diva and more. So my next stop was at the Biscotte Yarn Knitting Store, which was in Northvale, New Jersey, and that actually was a really beautiful store. It was a little bit bigger than I expected to be, but very organized. They had lots of their Biscotte brand yarn, which I believe they have like there are three different like brands that I think belong to the store. I don't remember the other two names, but one of them, of course, is the Biscotte like brand name logo. They had lots of yarn in that way, including a display, these really cool like neon colors, and they had some sock samples knit up in the neons right when you walked in the door. But it was a really nice vibe in that store as well. They had I don't know if it was a personal lesson or just like a knitting group. While I was there, there was like a table, a couple of tables in the back section. Like most of the yarn was, there were aisles where the yarn was, and of course like one section near the cash register had like all of the notions, needles, things like that. And then the rim of the store was yarn, but like there was a half wall the furthest in, and behind the half wall was an area where you could have a really nice knitting group. But there was someone like giving a lesson, two women working on something, and I think maybe teaching her how to knit, which I thought was really cool. And it seemed like they have like events there often. But yes, the store was very beautiful. I had a couple people walk up and ask if I needed help with anything, but of course I just wanted to look around. And I did end up getting a couple of items. The first two things that I got are both the Biscotte hand-dyed yarns Beast Sock. It's a fingering weight, 85% merino superwash, 15% nylon, 100 grams, 435 yards. Made in Canada. I got the color Fleur de Cerise, I don't know, I don't speak French. And it has a beautiful pink speckle to it. It's kind of like a mostly cream kind of blush base, and I believe in French that the name is like cherry blossom or something like that, which I remember because I took a trip, both my sister and I took trips to Europe when we were in high school with like school programs, and we both ended up going, even though we went different years, we both went to the perfumery Fragonard, and the perfume, she had gone the year prior to me. She brought a perfume back that had the same name, and it was like cherry blossoms, and I was obsessed with it, and I tried to buy the same perfume when I went the following year. But yes, this is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I believe I'm gonna do, let me check my plans. I'm gonna do a summer top in both of these. The second one is lavender. Here's the label. And it's a nice purple tonal, different shades of purple in there. And again, the same blend, same fingering, same everything. It's really soft and squishy. That's my number one yarn factor, is the squish. And again, I think this is gonna be another summer top, maybe the Ripple crop top by Jessie Maed. I have 2 skeins each of these. And then I also, they carried a lot of drops yarn, and I was looking again for the berets, and so I ended up finding drops baby merino, drops baby merino unicolor, 100% wool, superwash treated, extra fine merino wool. This is color 16, a red that I will give to I will make the beret for my aunt, for her friend Jen. We have it in kind of a pinky, kind of warm pinky tone. This is color 46. I really love that, and they're so soft. And then the royal blue shade for her final friend. This is color 33, and I got 2 skeins each of this as well, which should be more than enough. The gauge is 24 stitches by 32 row. I will have to compare it to the patterns that I found for the berets, but you know, I'll make it work. And they don't even know that, excuse me, they don't even know that I'm making that, so whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera. I don't think that's French, but it is what it is. And then the final thing I got there is this Katia Concept Cotton Cashmere in color 72. It is such a beautiful light pink. It's not, I wouldn't say peachy, but it's kind of just, it's kind of like the cherry blossom one. It's like a blush pink, which I'm obsessed with, and I've already shown a couple things that are, this is kind of my color. So I think with this will either be another Tolsta tee or some type of summer top. I'm really in the summer tanks, summer tops, whatever cotton type fiber, lightweight fiber, because I am a sweaty girl. Whatever, plant-based fiber that doesn't rip my hands to shreds, I'm gonna try and get. This is 90% cotton and 10% cashmere, and it does have a decent softness to it. From there, I went to the Knit Knot and Natter store in Pompton Plains, which is funny. I feel like I've driven past this store before. A lot of my friends from high school lived in Pompton Plains. And when I went into that store, the ladies were so kind. I believe there was one lady, I don't think she worked there all the time, but she was helping out with the wool walk. She complimented me on my sweater. I believe I wore my Tolsta tee that day. And she was like, how long did it take you to make that? And I'm like, oh, maybe 3 weeks. She was like, oh, I'm so jealous. But yeah, they were so kind in there. They also had, almost every store was having kind of like a trunk show. I think Biscotti Yarns didn't really have a trunk show, but their whole store is a trunk show of their own brand. They did have other brands, of course, there. Like I mentioned, drops. I think I saw some Rowan. I saw a lot of Noro yarn, which, you know, I've been tempted to try Noro because of the Kopi dolls, Kahila, Malika, and also Alexandra's Garn, and even Florence by Handmade by Florence. I've seen them use Noro a lot. But yes, at the Knit, Knot, and Natter store, which I think their bag, no, that's Yarn. Oh yes, their bag has their logo on it, which is nice. They were having a trunk show for the Sheepyshire, and then they also had other yarns that were on a wool walk sale, and I couldn't really walk past the Sheepyshire, so I've never heard of that yarn before, but you know, when it's on offer, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So with this, I'm gonna do, I think, a Moon Crush. Either the tee or the pullover. I had in my notes the yardage for the tee, but I think that I bought enough skeins. I got 2 of each color. I bought enough skeins to possibly do the pullover instead, but that's not one of my immediate cast-ons. Maybe before August, because I'm going to Flock Fiberfest and I want to have as many pieces as I can take with me, but I'm not in a rush for this, since I would prefer to knit up my more plant-based fibers before I start knitting the fingering wool. But this is the Staple Sock fingering weight. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's 460 yards. This orange color is called Ginger Sunrise, and it's so pretty. There's bits of like darker orange, some lighter orange. It's not really speckled, but kind of like a variegated tonal. Is that such a thing? This next one is Midsummer Night's Dream, and this one is a white or a cream base with lots of speckles. You can kind of see them a lot here. So some browns, some oranges, some reds, some pinks. Very nice. Midsummer Night's Dream, the same base. And then the final color is Starfish. And so this is kind of like, not exactly rusty orange. It's like a little bit more pink, like in between pink and rust and orange. It's all of those, Starfish. And so this has a little bit of, I don't know if you can see, it has some speckles in it, but the speckles are kind of just like a deeper shade of the main color. But I think that would make a really nice, I don't know which order it'll go yet, but I think it'll make a really nice moon set, right? Not Moon Crush, moon set. Let me look. Moon Crush. Sorry, Moon Set is by Ozetta. Moon Crush is by Jacqueline Cecilak. And so that is all I got from Knit Knot Natter. They also had I will definitely be back there. They had a couple of, well, I did get a wool wash sample, the eucalyptus sample. Right now my wool wash is from Sorella, but I really like eucalyptus. And so, but at the same time that I like eucalyptus, I'm very sensitive to strong smells, and I didn't want to commit to a large size of the Eucalan wool wash, especially when I have a wool wash that is still basically new from Sorella. So I just got a little sample size wool wash for like $1 from there. Next store was the Blue Pearl, which, as I mentioned, I went twice. So the Blue Pearl, which is in a really nice area. It's in Madison, New Jersey, but it's kind of like a downtown area, which I don't know if you're familiar with, like Montclair or even the store Will and Grace in Summit. They're kind of like on a main street type of vibe. So there's lots of restaurants, lots of little small businesses, and just very cute in general. I definitely, in addition to the second time I went, I'll be back there in the future. All of those ladies were really kind too. There was one lady with short hair. She, was walking around telling people what, was on offer for that day. Their trunk show of the day was from Miss Babs yarn. And of course, like many of the other stores, they had other items on discount. But the trunk shows, they really know how to get you, because just having it on such a display, they had kind of like one main table when you walked in, and it had, I believe it had, I don't know if it was socks or sweater sample on it, but kind of like their brightest colors right on the front table. And then down the center of the store, they had rectangular tables set up that had the rest of the Miss Bab collections, and they had it organized by the different weights of yarn. What I really liked was that, for example, this beauty right here, this is Miss Bab's Yowza, which is a DK weight, 100% superwash merino wool in the color Dahlia. I saw this table first on a table that was, I don't know if it was fingering or DK, but it was a smaller size DK, like a smaller size related to how many grams or the yardage that you would get, but both DK. I saw this color there first, and then when I realized I wanted a certain weight of yarn, so that's, I believe it was fingering first, and I wanted DK. They had it was just on another table. So they had kind of the same colors in all the different weights. So you could, choose what you would like. So yes, I got this nice chunky boy. This is 560 yards and it was $52, which for me, and one of the reasons I ended up going back the second day is I typically am knitting for myself. I haven't knit size 5 yet, but I would say I could fit into a size 5, but most, if I'm following the ease recommendation for patterns, I'm typically knitting size 6 or 7, depending on, the size range that the designer has. I'm a US size 2X. I think my bust is like in between 40 to 42 inches, and my hips, they're probably 50 something, 56, I don't know. But when I'm purchasing sweater quantities, it can get up there, especially now that I'm shopping things like hand-dyed yarn and, all the nice fancy stuff. It gets up there in the price per skein, given that I probably would need minimum 6 skeins to do a full sweater. So I like that Miss Babs has this option of the more yardage in just 1 skein. So in this particular color, I'm gonna do the Weekend Hat by Petite Knit, and just look at how beautiful. So back here, it looks like a little bit more neon, which it is. It is a bright, vibrant color, but I think up a little bit closer, you can see more. It's just so pretty. So I'm gonna do a Weekend Hat in that, and it has really good squish. It's soft. I don't think that it would irritate. Oh, that feels nice. I don't think it would irritate my forehead at all. And so I got that. And then I also got on that first day yarn from the Plucky Knitter. This is their Luxe Merino Light Sport, 330 yards in 105 grams of 100% ultrafine merino. The color is Like Sands Through the Hourglass. and it's kind of like a creamy white. I don't want to say white, I would say cream, off-white, but it has these nice speckles in it that are kind of like beige, brown, gray speckles. Even right here, there's like a little bit of pink speckles in it as well. And I thought that this would make a nice pair of socks. So that'll be from the Plucky Knitter. And then on the first day that I was there, in the Yowza DK, Yowza, I forget, let me see, that's worsted. Well, I don't know if I didn't buy both of them, but in the Yowza DK on that table, like I said, they had all the colors in the different weights on different tables. And that first day there was kind of like a creamy white, like a, not creamy, a whitish shade that looked very nice. But again, I was thinking of sweater quantities, and I think there were only 2 of the skeins, which would not be enough for a sweater quantity. At least there was only 2 displayed in the Yowza. And so I liked the color, but I put it back down. Didn't think to ask if they had more at that time. But I put it back down, and then I just left with the Dahlia skein and the Plucky Knitter skein. But when I went back home later that night, I couldn't stop thinking about the color. It was called White Peppercorn. And so that's what made me go back the next day. And so I wanted to get the White Peppercorn color, which I have here. And so it's a little bit off-white, it's a little bit gray, and I just think it will make a beautiful sweater. And let me see, did I write down which one I want to do with it? Oh, I know. My intentions when I saw was to make the clove sweater, excuse me, by Rachel Kurihara, which I would need 1740, 1,740 yards of DK weight to do that. But again, they didn't have the Yowza in White Peppercorn. Yowza's the DK weight. So when I went back the next day, of course, they were like, oh my gosh, everybody loved that color. We sold out of it yesterday. We don't have any more in the DK weight. She was like, but we have it in worsted. I'm like, oh, really? So I got it in the worsted weight, which is called Intrepid. It's 100% Targhee wool, Targee wool, 280 yards per skein. And so they also had their, they had a sample item that I had saw the day before out, and it was near the table that had the Intrepid weight yarn, the worsted weight, the Miss Babs table that was worsted weight, their Intrepid base. Next to that, they had a sample that they had made up called Ursina by Jacqueline Cieslak. I hope I'm saying her name right. And I fell in love with that sample, that sweater. And so what I decided, since I couldn't do White Peppercorn in DK for the clove sweater, I would do White Peppercorn in the worsted Intrepid base for the Ursina sweater. But I still really want to make the clove sweater. So I also got this good old boy, the Yowza DK weight in the color Moonscape. And oh, it's just so nice. Getting a little bit sunshine here, but it's like a gray, kind of like a slate gray, in between like slate and charcoal gray. There's a little bit of a sheen to it, but it really is just so beautiful. Kind of a cool tone gray. And I think this would be a perfect clove sweater, kind of a neutral. Doesn't matter what I'm wearing, whether I'm in the office, whether I'm at home, whether I'm in the movies. I think this will make a great clove sweater. So I got 3 skeins of that for my clove sweater from from the Blue Pearl Miss Babs yarn. The next store was Wool and Grace. They are in Summit, New Jersey, as I said before. That's also another really beautiful store. And at this point, it was a little bit later in the day, around 5 p.m. I did have to go pick up my sister from work, and Summit was about 30 to 40 minutes away from me. So I didn't have a whole lot of time in that store, but I didn't need a lot of time to find something good. They had a lot of brands: Hedgehog Fibers, Cowgirl Blues, which is a brand I've never heard of, Sueño, which is a brand I never heard of. Is that what it's called? Sueño? No, it's called Haiku, which I should know because I purchased it. But they had a lot of beautiful stuff. They also had a nice table full of project bags that were very beautiful and lots of different patterns. They had tons of samples in the store. They had kits made up. They had lots of samples of like baby knits and things. And it was just a beautiful store overall. Even at the counter, they had little scissors. I think they're called Super Snips, which I did purchase a pair, which I like because it comes with like a little attachable rubber piece that you can put over the tip of the scissors. And they're only about this big, which I think is great for travel. I have been using them since, especially on the trips that I mentioned I took. And I've had no issues with security or anything like that. And I find they're just better because the other pair of scissors that I have purchased for my yarn and I keep with my needle set, I believe I got them from Petite Knit, but I don't remember. But sometimes if I like reach in my bag without looking, I like get poked with the tip of the scissors. So I like that the Super Snips have a cover on them just so, you know, everybody's safe. But from Wool and Grace, the first wall I went by, they had a sample of this bandana out, and they had the pattern, you know, right next to it, and it was called the Hayo bandana. It's a really beautiful kind of lacy bandana, which I don't really like lace, but I'm starting lace projects. I have my lace baby blanket. I had the Neckerchief, which I don't know if you would call the Neckerchief lace, but it does have like yarn overs. I think I call it introductory lace because now I'm getting into that, but it just looked beautiful. I believe it was in a mohair, the sample. It was a white mohair bandana. Now where it had been placed in the store, I think someone must have moved it because it was right next to the Sueño by Haiku yarn, which is, I believe, a bamboo blend. And when I touched that, I was like, ooh, I need this. It's like soft, squishy, but, you know, not hairy, just really nice. But when I looked at the pattern, the weight of the Sueño and the weight of the pattern, it was two different weights. I think the bandana maybe two strands of mohair or fingering in a mohair, which I'm looking down because I asked in the store, oh, could I use the Sueño for this? And they were like, oh, I mean, you could, but your gauge would be different. And so I'm like, okay, but I really like the Sueño yarn and I might as well just show it since I'm talking about it so much. So this is the label, Sueño. Oh, we're getting a little. Sueño by Haiku. It's 80% merino superwash, 20% viscose from bamboo. In 100 grams, you get 255 yards. This color is Shifting Sands. And it's a beautiful beige. Sorry about the sun. I don't know if you can. There you go. Beautiful beige. Can you see back here? No. Maybe. What I have on is cream, but it kind of looks, sorry about the lighting. But yeah, it's super squishy and soft. and I'm excited to use it. And I think what I will do, I think, is the Corin cardigan. This should meet gauge for the Corin cardigan by the Creabea Rebecca Clow. They only had 2 skeins that day that I was there. And as I mentioned before, I called before I went back the next day, and they didn't have any more, but they were able to order some for me. So I'm just gonna pick that up. I ordered 3 more skeins, so I have a total of 5, and that should be enough for me to do the Cargill cardigan by Rebecca Clow. So that still left me wanting for the Hi-Yo bandana, which as I mentioned, they had little kits in store. So that is the, oh, it's not a great picture, but I'll show the pattern there. One of the, I don't know if she was the owner or just someone who worked in the store, but she had actually knit the sample that was there. And so they had put together lots of little kits of the Hi-Yo bandana. And they put the kits together in Cowgirl Blues hand-dyed yarn. So the proper sock, which is called Bette Midler, the colorway, and the Kid Silk Mohair in the color Dusty Rose. That's the kit that I got. They had lots of options. So for the Hi-Yo bandana, I got a kit from Wool and Grace in the Cowgirl Blues. Cowgirl Blues. This is the proper sock in the color Bette Midler. And it's kind of a really nice, I would say the base, well, it's truly variegated. So I would say they started the variegation on an off-white base, but there's a lot of blush, there's a lot of rich, kind of, not burgundy, but a shade before burgundy. The sunlight is messing us up here. But there's greens in it, a little bit of orange as well. You can see that, even though the sun is blowing it out. But yeah, really pretty, and paired with the Dusty Rose Kid Silk Mohair. Oh, down here in this one spot of shade is kind of the true color. Yeah, so that was everything from Wool and Grace. And then on day 2, I started off at Do You Knit in Westfield, New Jersey. And that was a really fun store with their, again, they had a lot of items on sale. They had a whole shelf full of 30% off, a whole shelf full of 50% off, including books. I believe there were some notions on sale, but tons of yarn on sale. There were a lot of yarns that I saw for the first time there, including J'adore Fiber Studios, I believe it's called, Moondrake Co, and many others. They had some knitting for Olive. They had a lot of hedgehog fiber as well, and just all kinds of brands. The ladies in there were very colorful, very nice. There was even at one point another woman who came in and they had matching, oh, what was it? Matching half and half triangle wraps or something. I don't know. But they had matching projects that they wore for the wool walk together. And with your purchase, they gave you this, oh, such a nice bag with the logo on it, Do You Knit. And so I was in there for a little bit. I went first thing in the morning. I was in there for a little bit trying to decide on what I wanted. Again, I was kind of looking for a lot of fingering weight items, simply because fingering weight is what most of the summer patterns, summer tops are for fingering weight. And now I didn't do a good job until later on in my journey of asking for like fingering weight in the plant-based fibers. I was kind of just going with vibes, going with whatever colors were speaking to me at the moment. And the first one was this lovely skein from NaylaJCo. And I like this because it will probably be hard to show you, but it kind of looks like the inner fiber is white and then as if there's like pink and purple blown around it. I don't know what that's called or how that happens, but hopefully you can see that. This is the color Mauve in their soft sport base. This is 328 yards, 100 grams of superwash merino 3-ply. I got 2 skeins of this color. And then I also got Porter Wool Co., which I've never heard of them, in their merino nylon 4-ply. I think. So it must be 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards in their fingering weight. This is the color Petal Party. So Porter Wool Co. And it's a gray base with all of these vibrant pink and purple and black. There's a little bit of orangey yellow, or I guess orangey yellow is really just gold, huh? But very nice speckles in there. So I'm excited for that as well. And then as I was looking, they also had a table in the back where you could knit. There actually was a lady in there working on a project while I was shopping. And there were lots of women that came in. Well, I don't want to say lots. There was one lady who brought her young, very young daughter, maybe 6 or 7. And then another set of ladies came in, a girl around my age. Maybe I'll just slide this way. A girl around my age came in with her mother as well, and they when the girl got her passport book stamped, the ladies at the store were even asked. They were like, "Oh, are you gonna get yours stamped?" And she's like, "I'm just here following her." And I'm like, "Oh, that reminds me of me and my mom because I drag her, around with me to all of these different Yarny events." But they did stamp her passport too. But anyway, the owner had a rack of sample knits out, and they were kind of near the back towards the sale section where I was last looking. And one of the samples she had was the Traveler sweater by Andrea Mowry, and she had the crew neck version, so no hood, and it was just beautiful. And she actually said that she made that sample in, I believe, the NaylaJco Italian sport weight. And she was saying that she had actually made lots of kits for that for the wool walk, but they were sold out, I guess. And so she suggested to me this J'adore Fibers hand-dyed yarn by Shannon. This is the color Auburn in their Dua Sport 2-ply sport weight. 80% superwash wool, 20% nylon, 328 yards in 100 gram skein. So there's the label, J'adore Fibers. And this auburn color, it is true to its name, auburn. It's in between a brownish red. Not really rust, I would say, but beautiful nonetheless. And I thought it would make a great traveler's sweater for me. So I think, and it was kismet because she had just enough skeins left. I think I needed 6, or maybe I needed like 5.5, but she had 6 left and I took all 6. And I really love that they gave this nice vinyl bag. It was like, a surprise and delight. And I can't wait to use it with all of my yarn. From there, I went to the Beyond Yarn yarn shop in Union, New Jersey. That was another very great store. Hi, Teresa from Beyond Yarn. Those ladies were very fun as well. They had a nice backdrop wall with their logo. They actually had they had lots of like moments in the store where the store name was displayed. So there was one section, it kind of looked like a photo booth, but it just had yarn all around it. And of course, behind the register, she had Beyond Yarn on the wall. And then all the way in the back of the store was kind of an area where you could take photos with your yarn. And they do, you know, even after I purchased, they were like, let's get a photo, let's get a photo. And then I was like, okay, I'll just have my bag. And they were like, no, hold your arms out and we'll place all of your yarn there, which was so sweet. So from there, they had actually, and I was looking for more of the plant fibers this time for all of my summer knits, because I kind of felt like I got, you know, I got most of what I needed for the, you know, the fingering weights, the in the wool. So I was kind of just focusing on, okay, what kind of plant-based or, you know, non-wool fibers could I get that, you know, feel nice to the touch for me. And I had a list of certain projects that I would have in mind, but, you know, nothing is too firm. I just wanted to get weights and enough quantity, enough yardage, so where I could make whatever is on my to knit list. And so they had actually more of the Sueño by Haiku. And this color is Dusty Rose, color 1152. And I told you I'm into pink, so this Dusty Rose is very different from the Dusty Rose from Cowgirl Blues. This is like way more purple. But it's, you know, a soft rose color. I don't know, and this will either be a Tolsta tee or, you know, any other summer top, or maybe a second corn cardigan, because just like the Tolsta tee, people are making 2, 3, 4 corn cardigans. And I think I have 4 skeins of that. And then I also got this Verano yarn from Malabrigo in the color Glacier 919. This is, it says worsted or DK. It's 205 yards, 185 meters. So yeah, it is in between, because DK is usually 250, right? 250, 270. And this is 100% Pima cotton in the color Glacier. Verano. And it's a nice, like, icy blue. And it's not a solid color. If you can see here, it's a little bit darker than over here. It's not a solid blue, but it is very nice. And I think I got 3 skeins of this for whatever the mood strikes summer project. And then I also picked up this Moon Shadow yarn. This is 68% baby alpaca and 32% Pima cotton in the color Strawberry Moon by Plymouth Yarns. It says, yeah, maybe the line is Moon Shadow, but way back here on the care instructions, it says Plymouth Yarns, PlymouthYarn.com, made in Peru, in the color Strawberry Moon. And this, I believe, is like a chainette yarn. Chainette yarn, and it's kind of like a nice pink and white. And the alpaca gives it a softness and like a little bit of a halo, but it has the cotton. So I think hopefully it should keep me light, you know, light and breezy in the summertime. And I think I got 4 skeins of that. They also had raffles going on in the store. They had several raffles. Like one was like $50, $20, $10, and a huge, you know, you could do the different, for the different prizes, the different ones you wanted to select. they had baskets full of stuff. I don't remember, you know, how much they said everything was worth, but the raffles, the proceeds were being donated, I believe, for Autism Awareness Month. I don't remember the exact cause name, the exact, you know, place where the donations are eventually going, but I'll put their website below so that you can look it up if you're interested. But I also like that they had free items for you as well, a gift if you visited Wool Walk. In addition to the little stitch markers that each store was giving, they had a table in the back, and they were like, oh, go pick a free skein from the table in the back. So I just pulled it out, but they had like little packages bundled on the back table. It also includes this gnome pin, which is really cute, and again will go on my tote bag. And then the yarn that I ended up picking, it's Briggs Little Atlantic 3-ply 100% pure wool, 4 ounces, from Canada. The color on here says Gray Heather, color number 18, but this is blue. So I don't know if there's like a different label on here than what should be, but this is definitely, I mean, I would call this a blue heather, not gray heather, but yeah, whatever. It's a free skein. Now it is a bit rustic for my taste. I mean, I guess it's not scratchy, but it doesn't have the soft feel like any of the superwash or like the bamboo. It doesn't have that same softness to it, but it is very beautiful. And how many yards did I say? Or it doesn't say the yardage, but who even knows, because I don't even know if this label is right. But I mean, it's a free skein. I could probably make a hat, maybe a pair of, is 3-ply the same as DK? I don't know. Maybe a pair of socks, we'll see. It'll just go in the stash for now, and maybe I'll do something, maybe I'll donate it. But yeah, it was still a nice gesture for them to include that. And also that area was so nice. I did drive around when I first got there. I looped like 3 times trying to find parking relatively close to the store. And by relatively close, I mean I want it to be like outside within like 200 feet of the entrance. Since I've never been in that area before, I didn't know where I was going, so I wanted to be close. But the parking spot I did get was right in front of the store, just a few shop doors down. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, because the second I got out of the car, there was a bookstore, like a local bookstore there. And if anybody who knows me, they know that if I'm not knitting, I'm reading, or I'm probably doing both at the same time. But I went a little crazy with my yarn for the week, so I was like, I can't even go in. Look away. But I'll definitely be back, and I think make a whole like day of it, because that area was very cute. As I said, the yarn store was there, the bookstore was there. There were lots of restaurants. I saw a pho place, I saw Peruvian food, I saw a curry spot. There was also what is it called? Oh, there was like a juice bar on one corner. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta come back here. But I was trying to make it to all the stores, so I didn't have too much time to explore. But definitely gonna go back, see Teresa again, and maybe spend a little bit more time in that neighborhood. But from Beyond Yarn, which was in Union, New Jersey, I went to the local yarn store, which is in South Orange. And that store was also very cute. It was a little quiet in there. Did they have a trunk show? I don't remember what they probably did, because I think almost all of the stores did. But I don't remember whose trunk show it was, and I didn't buy from there anyway. I was looking through some of their sales bins. They had a whole thing of like mohair that was like maybe $5 or less than that for a skein of mohair. But I didn't see, I was thinking of doing the cumulus blouse, but I would need to hold a double, and then that of course means the yardage I need will go up. But there was never like enough skeins in the colors that I like I would be like 2 or 3 short. So I was like, no, never mind. But what I did get, which I had been seeing Malabrigos both days, all day, and I did, as you see, I purchased some. But I saw this sandbank color, and I think I might have saw it in a different Malabrigos weight first. This is the Rios worsted weight, 210 yards, 192 meters, and 100 grams, 100% superwash merino wool. Which the Malabrigo yarn is kind of funny because it doesn't feel like wool to me. Well, I guess they both feel like wool. I was gonna say it feels like the Sueño yarn, which has bamboo, but that also is mostly wool. So I guess they both feel like wool, but they're both really soft. And this is the sandbank color. And the staff was so helpful because I got this with the intention of doing the champagne cardigan by Petite Knit. And originally I think I was looking at a different weight of yarn, or maybe I was looking at this weight in a different color, but there weren't enough skeins. There weren't enough skeins of the sandbank on the shelf. And so I asked, I'm like, oh, can you just double check? And she was like, of course. And she was like, oh, actually we were doing kits with the sandbank color. I forget what pattern they were doing with the kit, but she's like, I think I still have a kit. If I do, I'll pull skeins from the kit so that you can have enough. And that's what she ended up doing. So I think I got either 6 or 7 skeins to make the champagne cardigan, which will be my first cardigan. Other than, it depends on if I do the Corn by Crayabea first. If not, I'll do the champagne cardigan, but we'll see. First or second cardigan. But this is the Malabrigos Rios, color 131, in the sandbank color, which is a nice neutral brown. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. And again, this reminds me of the Moondrake skein, where it kind of, like, the core looks a little bit lighter and it looks like color is wrapped around. Maybe it's just me, but I'm into that. And they also gave a very nice tote bag with your purchase. The local yarn store. A nice canvas tote bag. I thought that was so cute. So I was excited. And then that, again, I'm not familiar with that area of South Orange, but I did end up going to, there was a juice store right next door. And so I didn't stop at the juice store that I saw near Beyond Yarn, but since this was only like 5 feet, I did go to the juice store next door, and the gentlemen in there were very nice. I think they were very passionate about, you know, their job, because, you know, I asked like, oh, well, like, what do you recommend? You know, I told him like flavors that I like, and he's like, oh, well, you should try this. You should try this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just get this one. And he's like, you want anything else? I'm like, oh, maybe a lemonade. And he's like, oh, I have this. Oh, and I have lemonade that I make with watermelon juice. And then I put mint in it. And then he like went in the back, made fresh watermelon juice, and was like, here, try this. And he was giving me so many samples of things. He was really nice. So definitely we'll be back to both of those locations. And it was just so good. And then capping off my wool walk journey, I went to Yarnia, which is in Montclair, New Jersey, which I've been there before, and I believe I already mentioned I've done a knit night with Yarnia as well. So Yarnia carries La Bien Aimée, and they actually, I'm on their newsletter list, and I think maybe a month or so ago, they actually had an event where La Bien Aimée came to the store, and they had like, oh, shop with her events and all kinds of stuff. But with that, they also were doing a special colorway, you know, collaboration with La Bien-Aimée, specific and exclusive to Yarnia, and they debuted the colorway during Wool Walk. And so they had very nice displays of the colorway as soon as you walk in the store. It was also very nice. You know, one of the girls working there, she came up with like a little sheet of paper that said everything that, you know, was going on for Wool Walk, all their Wool Walk promotions, including the release of the special colorway and any of the yarn brands that were on sale. They did have markers all throughout the store, but and clearance bins in the back. But yeah, I thought that was really nice so that you didn't really have to guess what was going on. But yes, the new colorway was front and center, and it's called Springtime at Yarnia. And so I got it, and look how beautiful the label. Can you see? Springtime at Yarnia. This is the mohair silk, 547 yards, Springtime at Yarnia. And it's kind of it's a gray base with purple, speckles, orange, kind of a teal, all throughout. Very pretty. And so I decided to do my cumulus blouse in this. I haven't worked with mohair before. I'm starting off with a pretty pricey one. I got 4 skeins, but that should be enough for my cumulus blouse. And they also had, I believe it was 20% off of Juniper Moon Farms. And there was like right before the, so the La Bien-Aimée collaboration color was like, as soon as you walked in the store on a platform, like on a shelf system, and then right in front of that, they had like a little trolley or whatever that had Juniper Moon Farms, which they also had throughout the store, but this Harriot base. And I touched it, you know, I'm a squisher, and it was so soft. It almost feels like silky, how soft it is. Pure extra fine baby alpaca, 100% alpaca. Oh, so that's why it's soft. It says a 3 lightweight, 218 yards, so about a DK. And this is color 1049 Rosewood. And I like I said, I saw this. I actually saw this before I saw the Springtime at Yarnia color, and I squished it and I was like, ooh, that's nice. But then I took like a lap around the store to look at everything else, and I came back to this. But then I was a little bit worried because I didn't think that they would have enough skeins. I didn't see, like I needed like 6. And I'm gonna make, I think it's called the Docote, D-O-C-O-T-E. I'll link the pattern below. I was thinking either that or another Ursina sweater by Jacqueline Cieslak, but I wasn't seeing, I think I was only seeing like 4 skeins and I needed 6. But then as I started pulling them out, there was like more tucked underneath. I'm like, oh yes. And the ladies were even so nice. First, they remembered me from coming to the knit night. I'm like, I only went once. How do you remember me? And also maybe I like tagged them on Instagram once before, so that was really sweet. But yeah, when I was checking out, they were even like double checking the dye lots for me to make sure that they were all the same. And I just thought that was nice because I wasn't even concerned about the dye lots, but they were like, no, we need to make sure. I'm like, okay, thank you. But yeah, they, and then they also had several, like if you spent a certain amount, they had kind of like a little raffle that you could draw from, and then you got to pick, depending on the raffle. I don't remember what the 2 things were, but one of them was you got to pick a magazine. So I picked this Vogue Knitting Holiday 2019 magazine, and I briefly glanced through it when I was in the store, and I saw some things that I like, so I'm like, why not? I don't have any knitting magazines, so it was a first for me. But because I don't know if it was because my purchase was over a certain amount or what, but they also gave this nice, it's similar to the Do You Knit bag, this nice little notions pouch, and inside is a little Yarnia notepad, a Maed and Yarnia sticker, and what does it say? Another sticker. It says Tricoat Bay. Let me see if I can get it out. Isn't that cute? But yeah, a nice little notions pouch, which I thought was nice. And then the biggest slash nicest surprise was this bag. And so it has on it the Maed and Yarnia logo, and a nice silver bag. I felt like Xenon, not Xenon, is it Xenon? Yeah, girl of the 22nd century, walking out of the store, my little space bag. But yeah, it was a nice spirit. And then I knew that that day would be my last day on the wool walk because I was going out of town. So I turned my passport in at that location. But yeah, overall, wool walk was a great experience. I bought way too much yarn, but I've only started building my stash up recently, at least my stash of more luxurious fibers, hand-dyed yarn. I think my first purchase of hand-dyed yarn was only this past, I think it was November, for my birthday. I treated myself to Red Door Fiber Studios, which maybe I'll show you in another video, because hopefully I can have a little consistency and show you in another video. But I think that's about it. I really enjoyed my wool walk experience. Hopefully, you know, I get to do more of these type of things and meet more people, both online and in person, in the fiber community. As I said before, I am going to Flock Fiber Fest. I did DM with Maya from Feeling Frogly Knits, and we both kind of have a tentative plan to meet up during Flock. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I see her there. I know Red Door Fiber Studio is going to be there, and I think Explore Knits and Fibers. So we'll just see. I'm looking forward to the year, looking forward to my projects, and looking forward to sharing them with you. So I will insert, you know, my little clips of the wool walk that I took. I did make a reel on Instagram as well, which I'll link my Instagram, my Ravelry down below, as well as all of the yarn stores that I visited, the New Jersey Wool Walk page, and the patterns that I mentioned. Hopefully I don't forget any. I have a big to knit list, so we'll see what's up next. But yeah, thanks for spending time with me. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, please leave a comment, like, share with your friends and family or your knitting group, whatever. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to be kind to yourself, be kind to someone else, and give yourself grace. We're all just doing our best, and you know, we need to take care of ourselves and take care of others. Thank you. Bye.